Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Kevin Owasu Itoe, and welcome to this video. Today, we are teaching ourselves Serenity BDD, right? Serenity BDD, Serenity with Selenium, JUnit, and eventually Cucumber. So we're teaching ourselves Serenity BDD. So far, so good. We've run our first mini test case, and we're teaching ourselves some Serenity, right? So with the last video we did extended the range of our methods by using page object class, right? Page object class, and that introduced us into web element facades, right? Web element facade, which is around Serenity, right? You know, web element is for Selenium, right? So today I have a refresher video for myself, and it's just to catch up all what I've put together on the other videos so far. We're not going to do any Maven builds. It's just about the test cases, right? And then play around with trying to log in into an application, right? So, sorry, that's my recording stuff, right? So we'll try and log into this application, right? And try and use what we have learned so far. Well, this is a refresher for me. Remember, this is the channel about empowering yourself, right? Learning, upskilling, right? So we are moving from manual test to automation test, and we are learning all the tools that are prevalent out there right now, right? So let's dive straight in, right? So we get into our Eclipse. So so the package, I've left the package there, right? Our Serenity package, right? So I've deleted the last two test cases. So I just want to try start from scratch. So we'll go with doing a class, right? So setting up another test case. So we want to call this one third because I've done first and second. So I'll just call this third test case. Remember, and click finish here, right? So remember, in our POM file, if we go to our POM file, we get into our POM file, get into our POM file. Is it our POM file? Yes, it's in our POM file. So if we go into in our POM file, let's just clear that. If we go into our POM file and we try and go, now where do you grab that stuff? Come on. Anyway, it's not coming down. So yeah. So if we go down right at the bottom, we'll find out. See, our test cases must end with test case, right? And this is the test cases that will be included in our test run, right? So cases ending with test case, right? And you see I've named this test case third test case, right? That was just a wee bit of a refresher, right? So if we go back to our test case we just written, now let's start with writing our test case. So public is our first initialization. Public void, what do you want to call the test case? So we'll call it log in into QA uni, right? So that's what the app is called, QA uni, and open and close brackets. And we want to open our braces, right? So that's us, right? We've called our test case, our class, named our class, whatever you want to say, and we know we have the properties and the repository and all that with dependencies that we need for JUnit, right? So, and JUnit, running a test case with JUnit, you do use iterate test. So that's the first thing we do. Now just hover over this to import JUnit jars, right? And we know we need a browser, right? We need to launch a browser to run our test case against, right? So I usually use Chrome, right? So to initialize a Chrome browser, we just go web driver semicolon, right? So, and then we hover over driver also to import something is not Sorry, I did not spell web correctly there. Right, hover over it, and we should be able to import our driver properties, right? Our driver properties. Now, so we have initialized our driver. So normally we launch Chrome, and the Chrome is embedded in our Serenity properties, right? So this is how we launch our Chrome. We have the property in our Serenity properties, right? If I were to change this to Firefox, right, it will launch Firefox. So let's go back in here. Now we know that with Serenity, if you want, the way you manage your browser, so opening the browser and closing the browser when the test case is started and finished, we do that by an iterate managed annotation, right? Managed, right? So, and hover over that again, and we import the properties for that, right? So now we are looking good, right? We could go ahead now and start writing our test case, but we also know with Serenity, you need a run with. So Serenity runner class, right? Or Serenity runner class, right? So we go iterate run with, open and close, Serenity runner dot class, right? Dot class. And then we hover over it and also import that, right? So we are looking good so far, right? Now we can write our test case with Selenium, right? And it will run fine. So let's try that, right? So let's just say let's try and launch Google instead of well, let's just go straight and do web element facets, right? Instead of just doing web element, which web element is just your Serenity, right? Selenium, sorry, and web element facets is your Serenity, right? But let's just go straight into Serenity. So just a refresher around Serenity, right? And using web element facets to get into our application that we want to log into, right? So this is the application we want to log into. So we copy this URL. So we want to do driver dot get. So this is just getting the URL. Open and close brackets, and I mean open and close quotations. Right. So we have opened our the site we want to navigate to, and one thing is we want to introduce we want to extend into page object class, right? So we want to extend to page object class, so we could get all the good or the extended versions of the methods that comes with the Serenity framework, right? So we want to say we go here and we extend page object, right? So this is extending into a page object class, so you could get the web element facets. This web element facets now introduces more methods that you can use for your Serenity framework to run your test cases, right? So if we hover over this, again, just import properties for that. And now we are ready to go, right? We are ready to go. One thing that we normally do with Selenium is we go driver, so we use the find, right? So driver dot find elements by, right, dot xpath, right? So that's how we normally write with Selenium, right? But now we want to write code with Serenity, right? So all of this code like this could be represented with just using the Serenity framework, just the $sign, right? The $sign, open and close quotations, and in here you go by dot xpath, right? Or whatever locator you want to use. In this case, we want to use name, right? We want to use name, right? Open and close, open and close. right? So we want to put the name in there of the first field we want to go into, which will be the username field in our application, right? So we want to inspect the username field, inspect the element, find any of the locators that we want to use and the value, right? So we will use name and the value for the name locator as username. So we copy that and we put it into our double quotations, and then we end that with a column, right? A semicolon. So that's us. We have located our username field on the application we're trying to log into, right? So we know this will return a web element facade object, right? It will return as a web element facade object. So we want to do just that. So we want to go web element facade, and then we want to call this object something, right? So we want to call it, we can call it username, right? I started with, let's spell that right then. Username equals, right? So we've named our object username, right? And we're using this the object web element facade, right? So we want to hover over this and import those web element facade properties, right? So now all we have to do, as we've named our object username, in order to bring all the methods that we require to continue, we just have to say user name dot, right? And you see the array of different methods that you have with web element facade, right? So usually we go dot send keys, right? Dot send, right? So normally you say dot send keys, right? And you type within that field, right? But what Serenity, another method that Serenity introduces is type keys to send, right? Type keys to send, and you hit enter, and within here you just type what you want to send, right? So I will type in the username that I normally use, right? So I'll change my password after this, right? So what have we done so far? We've identified our username field. We've inspected the element. We've used our locator name to send some text into that field, right? And all we have used now is the method of a element web element facade, right? So what do we want to do next? Next, we want to do the same thing, but now we want to locate our password field, right? So let's inspect that. Right, so again, we want to use a name locator, right? Name locator, and name is called password. So we go back here, and all we want to do is the same thing, right? Use our $, right? Open and close, and within here we say by dot, again name, right? Enter, open and close, and then in here we want to put password, right? So we have identified, located our password field using the name locator strategy, and now all we can do normally here, right? You write other code in Selenium and send keys and then click, right? But Serenity gives you the option to actually enter. So if I say dot type, now instead of using type to keys to send, we say type and enter, right? So if we hit type and enter, and then we enter our value, which is our password that we want to enter into that field. So my password will be, right? That's my password. I'm going to change it later on, and then enter our semicolons, right? And this is it. So type and enter is the same action as to enter a value into the password field and then click enter on your keyboard, right? So this is us, right? We have successfully written our code to enter our password, enter our username and our password, and then click enter, and hopefully we should log into this application, no problem, right? So we have used WebElementFacade, and this is a refresher on the whole iterate, using our iterate for junit, using our iterate to manage our Chrome browser. So open and close after after the test is started and after it's run. And we used our run with class, which is comes with the Serenity framework, and we've also extended the methods, right, by using a pageobject class, which is different from pageobject model, right? So later on we would see into pageobject model, but this is pageobject class, and pageobject class just extends the range of methods that you have within the Serenity framework, right? And that brings into play the web element facets, which we've just used, right, to do our test case. So if we just click right click and go to run as, and then we want to run it as JUnit test, right? So we just click that and click OK. So hopefully this runs okay and it passes, right? And that will be us had a refresher, right? So I could easily come to this video now and just take a refresher of all of what I have learned so far. Today we're not going to do any reports, we're not going to do any builds. We'll leave that for another time when we have more test cases, right? Because again, see, it started the Serenity test started. So anytime now I should launch that Chrome browser and into the QA uni website, and hopefully enter username, password, and click on and log in, right? So that's what we're hoping. Here we go, it's launched, entered it, right? Click login. It's taking a while. That's all successfully logged in. Okay, so my name is Kevin Owasu Itoe. Remember, what we are focused on this channel is upskilling ourselves. That's it. It's closed the browser, and now it should indicate that test has passed. It has passed, and it should turn green. My computer is just running slow, right? So remember, what we're doing here is encouraging, empowering each other on this channel, right, to upskill ourselves as test analysts. It's not just test analysts, right? It's, if you look at my banner on this channel, right, it tells you about all the areas that automation is touching within all the various industries, right? And we need to get into the mindset of continuous learning, continuous education, self-directed education, self-directed knowledge. That seeking that is powerful in itself, right? And that will take you to the next level, right? Within your 9 to 5, within a freelance job, within being an entrepreneur, or getting a side hustle, whatever it is, right? You have to continuously learn because things are changing. Skills become useless, right? Skills that we used to know 5 months ago, we don't use them anymore. We have to learn new skills, right? So that's how the environment is going, and that's how we should be going as well, right? That's how we should be thinking, the mindset of continuous learning, a growth mindset, and and that's what we are trying to do on this channel, empower each other. We are running test cases, but there's a bigger vision to this, right? So bear with me. My name is Kevin Owasu, and I will sign out now, and hopefully you've learned something from this video. If not just the Serenity framework we are doing, also it maybe put you into a good mindset that you will continue to just do great things yourself. Okay. Yeah, so subscribe, engage, please, right? So my name is Kevin Owasu, sign in out.